Could Bitcoin actually hit $1 million each?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
$1 million, though, that's wild. But there's this guy, Fred Krueger,
Yeah, Fred Krueger.
and he's saying, like, this is something people need to be paying attention to, especially, younger people, millennials, Gen Z, the whole shebang. And this Krueger guy, he's not just some random dude on Twitter, right?
No, not at all. He's got serious Wall Street cred.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say.
Years on Wall Street. Has a PhD from Stanford. Like, the guy knows his stuff.
So that's what makes this whole thing kind of crazy, Because when someone with his background makes a prediction that bold, you kind of have to at least listen, right?
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing today, diving deep into Fred Krueger's prediction that Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million.
And he's saying it's not even like some far off, sci-fi future thing. It's
Yeah.
like this is going to start happening within our lifetime. It's kind of wild to think about.
It really is. And what I find so fascinating about Krueger's prediction is that it's not based on just like hoping for a lucky break in the market. He actually lays out a really detailed argument for why he sees Bitcoin on this trajectory. And a big part of it is that long-term, big picture exponential growth potential.
So not just a quick buck, huh?
No, this isn't about day trading or trying to time the market. It's about understanding the underlying fundamentals of Bitcoin, things like its limited supply.
Yeah.
There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, and its growing acceptance as like a legitimate store of value.
So like digital gold, is that what he's saying?
Kind of. Krueger actually goes even further, though. He compares it to owning a piece of the internet back in like the early 90s. Imagine that.
Seriously. Okay, that's pretty wild. But I gotta ask, why is he so focused on millennials and Gen Z? Like, why are WE the target audience for this $1 million Bitcoin prophecy?
That's a great question, and Krueger's very specific about this. It all comes down to time. He argues that younger generations, we've got something incredibly valuable on our side when it comes to investing. Time. Like, we've got decades to let our investments grow.
Which is kind of mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it.
Right. And he's not just saying it's good to start early. He's saying that waiting even 10 years could be the difference between, like, catching a small wave and riding a tsunami of wealth.
Okay, that's a pretty intense visual. I mean, it gets the point across. But here's where things get really interesting and, to be honest, a little controversial.
Oh, here we go.
So Krueger, he's not afraid to make waves, right? He comes right out and says that real estate, which, for like ever has been the investment advice everyone gets.
Yeah, buy a house, it'll always go up in value, right?
Exactly. But Krueger's saying that's a bad trade right now. Straight up a bad trade. So what's going on there? Like, why is he so down on real estate all of a sudden?
Well, he's specifically talking about the current economic climate and how the interest rates we're seeing, like on a 30-year mortgage, are going to eat you alive.
It's true. I mean, that's if you can even get a mortgage these days.
Exactly. And Krueger argues that for younger generations especially, that's money that could be working much harder in assets like Bitcoin, which he believes, again, long-term, have massively higher growth potential. It's about thinking strategically about where your money's going to grow the most, making the most of what you've got.
So it's not that owning a home is bad or anything. It's more about opportunity cost in this crazy economic climate.
Exactly. It's like, where's your money going to have the biggest impact, especially over the long haul?
Now, I know what some of our listeners are probably thinking, because I was thinking it too. What about AI? It's like the hot new thing. Everyone's talking about it. So where does that fit into all of this?
Oh, Krueger has thoughts about AI too. This is actually one of my favorite parts of his argument because he draws a really compelling comparison between investing in AI versus investing in Bitcoin.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
So Krueger sees Bitcoin as a much more accessible entry point for the average person than AI. Because with AI, it's all about trying to pick the winning companies, right?
Yeah.
It's like, are you going to put your money on Google, Amazon? Are you going to get in early on the next big thing before anyone else knows about it? It's a gamble.
High risk, high reward, Silicon Valley kind of stuff, yeah.
Exactly. Bitcoin, on the other hand, he argues, is more like investing in like the entire internet infrastructure itself. You're not betting on one specific company or application, you're betting on the underlying tech. And that, he argues, has the potential to be much bigger than any one AI company.
So it's kind of like, don't get so caught up in the hype cycle of the next shiny new gadget that you miss out on the larger, more transformative technological shifts that are happening underneath it all.
That is a fantastic way to put it.
Yeah.
And it really gets to the heart of what Krueger's urging people to do. Think bigger, think long term, and don't be afraid to challenge, like, the traditional ways of doing things,
Yeah.
even when it comes to something as big as, your financial future.
Right. So much easier said than done, though. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. But that's what these deep dives are for, right? To give you the information you need so you can make those decisions for yourself.
Exactly. Now, I know we've covered a lot, and some of it's pretty mind-bending, to be honest. So for our listeners who are looking for, that quick TLDR, what's the one thing we want them to take away from all of this?
Krueger's message is a call to action. He's not saying everyone needs to go out and put all their money in Bitcoin tomorrow, but he is urging people, especially our listeners, those millennials and Gen Z folks, to really, truly, honestly evaluate the potential of this technology. Do your research.
Right, and decide for yourself.
Yes, he believes, and we've got to say, the arguments he's making are pretty convincing, that this kind of opportunity, it doesn't come around every day. And time, well, time is of the essence.
So not just jumping on the bandwagon, it's about understanding what could be a massive shift in how we all think about, like, money, value, wealth, all of it.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your financial future and making informed decisions about where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line.
Which brings us back to that million-dollar question we started with. Literally, even if Bitcoin doesn't hit $1 million exactly, what if Krueger's right about the bigger picture? What if we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg? That's got to get you thinking, right?
It should. That's the point. It might sound crazy to some people, but hey, a lot of things that are normal today probably sounded crazy a few decades ago. So who knows? We might look back at this conversation in 10, 20 years and laugh. Or we might be kicking ourselves for not taking it seriously.
And that's what makes these deep dives so interesting, right? We're not here to tell anyone what to think, but hopefully we've given you some things to think about.
And maybe some resources to do a little more digging on your own.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's your money, your future, so take control, do your research, and make the decisions that feel right for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, this has been another deep dive. Until next time!